apparel shows, DJs, photographers, catering, bands, anything you need, and it's free. Go to partypop.com.
The Middle East erupts, and CNN is right there, on the ground with the story firsthand.
We've heard several loud explosions, now a dull thud. Let's see what happens.
Essential reporting from CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Tonight, no let-up in the deadly attacks between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. 12 days into the conflict, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice leaves tonight for the Mideast. Can she stop the bloodshed? We'll ask three diplomatic heavyweights: George Mitchell, the Mideast peace negotiator and former Senate Majority Leader; Jeane Kirkpatrick, the former U.S. ambassador to the UN under President Reagan; and Zbigniew Brzezinski, the former national security advisor to President Carter. He helped broker the 1978 Camp David Middle East Accords. Plus, Tony Bourdain, the celebrity chef shooting his TV show in Beirut when all hell broke loose. And all the latest with reporters on the front lines. It's all next on Larry King Live. First, we'll make our sweep of our outstanding journalists doing outstanding work all over the region. We begin with Christiane Amanpour in northern Israel. As she joins us, let's hear a report that she made earlier on how hard it is there to gain ground and keep it. Watch.
An Israeli tank rumbles back across the border from Lebanon after battling Hezbollah militants in the small hilltop town of Maroun al-Ras. Ohad, the tank commander, says it was a very hard battle. Two of their tanks were ambushed. They were ready for us. They have a lot of ammunition, they have guns, they have everything they need, he says. In all, 6 Israeli soldiers were killed and several more were wounded in the fight for this one village. Even though the Army High Command says they've now captured the village, their helicopters and tanks are still shelling it, and their soldiers are still trading fire there with Hezbollah.
Christiane, based on what we've just seen, is this going to be a very long, hard go at it?
Well, it looks like it's a hard slog. I mean, the Israeli military commanders who brief us tell us that, you know, they're making progress. They've got a certain amount of the military equipment and infrastructure. They've got 100 Hezbollah, they say they've killed. But this one village, which is just a few hundred meters across, that we've been really witnessing from the Israeli side for the last several days, it's meant to be in control of the Israelis, but it's still, you know, firefights, skirmishes, and this and that. So it's going to take a while, and that's certainly the word we're hearing from the High Command.
Anderson Cooper joins us from Beirut. He will host Anderson Cooper 360 at the top of the hour immediately following this program. What's the latest on the situation in Lebanon?
Larry, it is very much as it was the day before. There were bombings here in Beirut, perhaps not as many as we have seen in recent days. They suddenly break out out of nowhere. Loud explosions. Several of them rocked Beirut earlier today. But that was really it in terms of the aerial assaults that we have been seeing. We haven't heard as many Israeli drones throughout the day as we perhaps normally do. The action really seems to be centered down in South Lebanon, fighting around the city of Tyre. Fighting around the town that Christiane was just talking about. That is really where Israeli ground forces are certainly focused their action. We have lots of people now, Lebanese, trying to stream out of southern Lebanon, many of them ending up here in Beirut. They're sleeping in the parks. They're sleeping in city schools. Hezbollah, though, still firmly in control of the south of Beirut, the territory that they have traditionally controlled. It's really a state within a state, and that is where the Israelis are focusing their firepower when they do attack here in Beirut, Larry.
And wasn't there a military hit from Israel over a Palestinian refugee camp in southern Lebanon today as well?
Yeah, that was in southern Lebanon. We don't have reports of injuries. There was one, according to Lebanese broadcasting, there was one death of a Lebanese journalist. If that is true, that would be the first journalist to die in this conflict in these past 12 days, Larry.
Thanks, Anderson. John Roberts is in Haifa, our CNN senior national correspondent. Rockets still hitting there?
Good news and bad news today, Larry. The good news is that only 90 Katyusha rockets fell on Israel, fired from Hezbollah on the Lebanese side of the border. The bad news is that 2 people died here in Haifa today. The number of 90 represents a little bit more than half of the number of Katyushas that came over yesterday. Difficult to say whether or not that's a result of the Israeli Defense Forces degrading Hezbollah's capability, or Hezbollah just decided not to fire as many rockets today. But 2 deaths, one of a man who was in a woodworking shop down in an industrial area where a Katyusha rocket hit, and another one, I mean, you talk about terrible bad luck. This fellow was in the middle of a field in a kibbutz. His car was parked on a road. The rocket landed nearly right on top of him, that entire open area, and it chose to land right on top of him. But also some stories of miraculous escape today as well in a suburb called Nesher, which is about 3 miles away from here. A man and his young son were hiding downstairs in their shelter in their basement. The rocket came through the top of the house, literally blew the top of the house off, went down through the 2nd floor into the basement where they were after going through 4 inches of concrete, exploded down there, and Larry, miraculously, they were covered in dust and they were a little bit dazed, but they were completely uninjured.
Wow. John Roberts in Haifa. Now let's go to Damascus. Hala Gorani, on the latest there, the Syrian information minister, we understand, Hala, has warned that if Israel invades Lebanon and comes too close for Syria, Syria is going to get involved. What do you hear?
Yes, that is what Mohsen Bilal said, and we were able to confirm it. He said if there is an Israeli ground invasion, then Israeli troops could potentially come within 12 miles of the Syrian capital. Now, even though that's not exactly geographically possible, the point he is making is the one you also raised there, Larry, which is that if Israeli ground troops come too far into Lebanese territory, they will get close to Syrian territory and they will threaten national security, according to Mohsen Bilal. The question at this point is whether this is political rhetoric or if this is a shift in Syrian policy, because it is a departure from previous statements. Syrian officials in the past 10 days have said Syria would only get involved if it is directly attacked. Is this a way for Syria to get attention from the United States? As Condoleezza Rice visits the region, it has expressed interest in direct talks with America, and this is something many analysts say the U.S. is so far not ready to do, Larry.
Thanks, Hala. Hala Gorani, Anderson Cooper, John Robertson, Christian Amanpour. When we come back, we'll get the representative from Israel, and we'll meet Ambassador Jeane Kirkpatrick and former Senator George Mitchell. That's all ahead next on Larry King Live.
Larry King Live is brought to you by RE/MAX. Outstanding agents, outstanding results.
We've always wanted a home that's unusual.
With a view of the sea.
Find your perfect place. It's easy at RE/MAX.com. Nobody sells more real estate than RE/MAX.
Home sweet home. Time for a fresh new look. I say start at the top with Excellence Cream from L'Oreal. Absolutely beautiful color that's hassle-free. So creamy rich it doesn't drip. Nothing protects better or guarantees my color like Excellence. Beautiful, sensational, softer than silk, and nothing covers grays better than Excellence. Assuming you have any. Thinking makeover? Start at the top with triple protection Excellence Cream from L'Oreal Paris. Because you're worth it.
Ready for a hotel bed that's a better fit? Try the Sleep Number bed exclusively at Radisson, the only bed with adjustable firmness for comfort that's a perfect fit for you. Radisson Hotels and Resorts. Stay your own way.
More bars in more places. That's what people have come to expect from Cingular. And now they can expect even more. Testing from the leading independent research company proves that Cingular's all-over network has the fewest dropped calls of any wireless network. The fewest dropped calls. Proof that we mean what we say. Raising the bar.
Vacuum manufacturers want you to believe that dust and the mold spores it contains stops here at the filter. But in attempting to improve suction, some vacuums use filters with bigger holes. So dust ends up back where you don't want it, in your house.
Monday on American Morning, we are live and on the front lines of the crisis in the Middle East as the bombs continue to fall, as the casualties continue to grow, and as the evacuations expand. What's it going to take to end the violence? We'll take a look at that on Monday on American Morning.
Let's get to the truth. It's time for Answers.
Lou Dobbs tonight, CNN Monday, 6 Eastern.
Welcome back to a special live Sunday night edition of Larry King Live. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice leaves for the region tonight, is expected to meet first with Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert and then with Palestinian President Mohammed Abbas. Standing by in Tel Aviv is Israeli government spokesperson Marizi Eisen, a former colonel in the Israeli Defense Forces. Unfortunately, representatives from Hezbollah and the Syrian government were unavailable tonight. Miri, what do you expect from the meeting between Condoleezza Rice and the Prime Minister?
Well, good evening, Larry. I think that the most important thing for us in Israel is, first of all, the international backing, the backing of the United States. It's very clear right now that the United States really understands what we're fighting, what we're trying to defend. Hezbollah is still firing rockets, still terrorizing the northern portion of Israel, still taking hostage the Lebanese government. We hope to hear from Secretary of State Rice the backing for Israel and the understanding that we cannot go back to where we were almost 2 weeks ago. We can't continue having Katyusha rockets on our northern border. We can't have a terrorist organization deployed there as if they're part of Lebanon.
Miri, Lebanon's Minister of Foreign Affairs says that the 2 Israeli soldiers taken by Hezbollah are in good health and safe. Do you accept that on word alone?
We don't expect it on word alone, but we are happy to hear such things. For us, that's very important. They were abducted from Israeli territory in that cross-border attack, and we don't know anything about them. Hezbollah has not said anything about what happens with them, and it's good to hear that. It's important for us. You know, in Israel every day, not only on TV and on the radio, but everywhere you go, you listen to people here who know, and they ask, how's Eldad? How are they doing? We all know their names. We know who they are. These are not just figures for us, these soldiers who were kidnapped. It's the 2 both who were kidnapped by Hezbollah and the additional one, Gilad, who was kidnapped by the Hamas and the Palestinian Authority. And we have no idea how they are, where they are. So it's good to hear something about them.
What do you hear on the latest about the condition of former Prime Minister Ariel Sharon?
Well, you know that here it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm only updated to yesterday evening. We all heard that he had gotten worse. I don't know anything additional here. I'm sure you'll join me. We're all here in Israel praying for former Prime Minister Sharon, a very central, important, dominant figure in Israeli history, in Israeli politics, and we all pray for his good being.
Thank you, Mary, and we'll be checking in with you again tomorrow night. Let's go now to Washington, D.C. Ambassador Jeane Kirkpatrick. Haven't seen Jeane in a long time, the former U.S. ambassador to the UN during the Reagan administration. She's now a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. And in Northeast Harbor, Maine, George Mitchell, the former Senate Majority Leader, international peace negotiator. He served as chairman of the Sharm el-Sheikh International Fact-Finding Committee on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Ambassador Kirkpatrick, what do you think is going to happen from Secretary Rice's trip?
You know, I think it's impossible to know, just as it's impossible to know exactly what's going to happen to the kidnapped Israeli prisoners. I think that the state of Israel is going to make a continuing, serious effort to recapture those airmen. And the Hezbollah is going to make a continued effort to prevent that from happening. And I don't see the probable outcome yet. Eventually, I think the Israelis will recapture those airmen because Israel will not give up its airmen, as we know.
George Mitchell, do you think the Secretary's trip is too late?
I do, Larry, but the important thing is that she is going, and my hope is that there will be serious discussions to try to develop a comprehensive package that would involve an end to the violence, a zone in the south of Lebanon that is covered by an international force with a robust mandate that will make certain that Israel's northern border is protected, and that will begin a process of de-escalation and reducing tensions on all sides, and hopefully, ultimately, although this is longer term, bring about a resumption of discussions, because that's the only way this is going to be resolved. Battle after battle after battle will still leave the result unclear, and there has to be some way to reach an agreement to have a Palestinian state alongside a Jewish state which is secure and whose people feel safe.
Ambassador Kirkpatrick, why is the United States opposed to a ceasefire?
I don't think the United States is opposed to a ceasefire. We're only opposed to a ceasefire that cannot hold. And I believe we will continue to be opposed to a ceasefire that cannot hold. We want a solution that may be a solution, in fact.
How do you know if something's going to hold until you try it?
Well, you don't, but you judge by all of your experience, and we've had a lot of it in this area. When I entered the Reagan administration in 1981, the situation in southern Lebanon was not unlike the situation today. It was similar in a good many respects, and there were a good many Israelis seeking simply to survive Lebanese Katyushas, which were falling rapidly.
George, how do you respond to the statement by the Secretary who said what we're seeing here is the birth pangs of a new Middle East? You see that?
I think that's probably a little hyperbole, Larry. It's a very difficult situation, one in which I think there are major changes occurring. Unfortunately, many of them are not for the better, at least from our perspective, and I think that what you're seeing is a confluence of several conflicts here, Israelis and Palestinians, Sunni and Shia within the Muslim world, a continuing conflict that does not receive, I believe, sufficient attention in the West in terms of its potential for reshaping the area, and a major factor in the current crisis as the Iranian government, a Shia-dominated government, provides assistance to the Shia group Hezbollah in Lebanon. So there are several conflicts going on. It may be new and there may be developments, but many of them are not going the way we'd like them to go.
More with Ambassador Kirkpatrick and George Mitchell on this edition of Larry King Live. Zbigniew Brzezinski still to come. Don't go away.
Do you have an adjustable rate mortgage? How much has your monthly payment gone up? Do you have credit card debt? Get a new low fixed rate home loan with one low monthly payment, even if you have a credit problem. Log on or call 1-800-71-FIXED.
Cholesterol. It can come from fettuccine Alfredo, but also from your grandpa Alfredo, from barbecue ribs, and from your Aunt Barbie. A healthy diet is important. When that's not enough, adding Vytorin can help. Cholesterol comes from two sources, food and family. Vytorin treats two sources. Only Vytorin helps block the absorption of cholesterol from food and reduces the cholesterol your body makes naturally based on family history. Vytorin was also proven in clinical studies to lower bad cholesterol more than Lipitor alone. Vytorin is not for everyone, including people with liver problems, women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. Unexplained muscle pain or weakness could be a sign of a rare but serious side effect. Vytorin may interact with other medicines or certain foods, increasing your risk of getting this serious side effect. Simple blood tests are needed to check for liver problems. So eat right, stay active. But if that's not enough, ask your doctor about adding Vytorin. Two sources of cholesterol. Treat them both with Vytorin.
Desperate search for a 5-year-old Utah girl who vanished from her own home. Both parents take your calls.
Nancy Grace, Headline Prime, Monday, 80s. Check out the new hit movies you can order on demand, and look what you can order right now.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
From the makers of Scary Movie.
Idiot! Hell no, I won't marry you. God!
Date Movie, now on demand.
Make some noise for America.
Dave Chappelle is throwing a party, and you're invited.
Demolition.
Dave Chappelle's Block Party, now on demand. Hit movies without the trip to the video store. On demand with Comcast Digital Cable.
We're the Slowskis. I'm Bill, and this is my wife, Carolyn.
Hi.
We tried Comcast high-speed internet, but...
Everything downloaded so quickly.
Yeah.
We felt rushed.
Rushed
Yeah.
is a good way to describe it. With DSL, we can download way slower than Comcast high-speed internet.
It's perfect. I mean, his middle name is Slow.
My middle name is Matthew.
I was joking.
Oh.
Go way faster than DSL with Comcast high-speed internet. It's Comcastic.
The latest on the Mideast conflict the world is watching. Larry King, CNN 9 Eastern.
We're back with Ambassador Jeane Kirkpatrick and former Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell. Is there a point, Ambassador Kirkpatrick, where the United States backing of Israel could be counterproductive, where it threatens our interests or our security to be aligned with one nation there?
I do not think that point has been reached and is likely to be reached, frankly. We don't support Israel for any such reason. We support Israel because it is a loyal ally and with whom we share some fundamental interests. And those factors, I think, will not change. Not in the foreseeable future, in any case.
Senator Mitchell, should the administration talk to Iran and Syria?
Well, I think there certainly should, Larry, directly or indirectly. I don't think the interests of Iran and Syria are identical in all respects. And you recall last week, a week ago, I said that we should be approaching Syria even indirectly because they're much more exposed than Iran, getting much less out of this and being much more exposed as a result of this conflict. And I would be amazed if we weren't making some approaches, at least indirectly. There are plenty of interlocutors, others through whom we can make such approaches. And I'm certain, at least I believe, that must be happening now if the administration is on the ball, as I hope they are in that respect.
Ambassador Kirkpatrick, the New York Times reports today that many Iranians are not happy with the government's patronage of Hezbollah. Could Iranian public opinion change things there?
Well, it could change things, but I doubt if it will, frankly, because Iranian public opinion is simply not that powerful, at least as demonstrated so far, and not as we anticipated in the near future.
This is again for you, Madam Kirkpatrick. What confidence do you have in the UN?
But I don't think the UN or the US or the UN and the US or any combination of the countries that are assembled here can solve this problem. This is a very difficult problem, and it's very important, and the lives of many people are at stake here.
Senator Mitchell, could an international peacekeeping force work?
Yes, it could, Larry, under the right circumstances. It would depend upon the composition, the mandate, the leadership, the receptivity of both sides. There are reports in the recent days that the Israelis are would look favorably upon it in the right circumstances, as I believe many Lebanese would in the right circumstances, but that all has to be worked out. I do think this is soluble. I think it requires strong and persevering American leadership and assistance by others. Most notably, Russia can play a crucial role here if it chooses to do so, if it can be persuaded by the President and our administration, and many others can be of help as well. The French have a long history in Lebanon and worked with the United States in that area back a couple of years ago or back recently when Syria withdrew.
Ambassador Kirkpatrick, what impact does United States involvement in Iraq have on options in the current crisis?
I think it has very limited impact, frankly. I believe that the United States involvement in Iraq has limited consequences for the U.S. involvement in Syria, for example, and in all the other countries in the area. This is an extremely complicated context in which we are operating today. More complex than I have ever seen the Middle East, let me say, Larry.
What about Senator
Larry,
Mitchell?
I do think our involvement in Iraq has had one major effect. It's greatly benefited Iran. Because Iraq was a counterweight to Iran for a long time. They fought a bitter 8-year war in which hundreds of thousands were killed. We, as the United States, assisted Iraq during that conflict because we were concerned about Iranian expansion of the south. Now that huge counterweight has been removed, and Iraq's desire to extend its influence to the Persian Gulf region
has alarmed many of the Arab governments in the region, the Gulf Arabs, who are most all Sunni government dominated, and they see a Shia-governed Iran, now with an Iraq that is no longer hostile to them, but in fact will be relatively close to them. Many of the leaders in Iraq now, really placed there as a result of the United States action, spent time in Iran during the Saddam Hussein era. So one major effect, not to mention, of course, the debilitating result on America's standing in the world and in the region, has been to pave the way for greater Iranian influence in the Persian Gulf.
Thank you both very much. Ambassador Gene Kirkpatrick, former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Senior Fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, and George Mitchell, former Senate Majority Leader, International Peace Negotiator. When we come back, we'll round it up with our correspondents and then meet Zbigniew Brzezinski. You're watching a Sunday night edition of Larry King Live. Don't go away.
Pop quiz. What compact sedan gets up to 34 miles per gallon, has more power and space than Corolla, and starts under $12,000? Is it A, the Kia Spectra, B, the Kia Spectra, C, the Kia Spectra, or D, all of the above? Correct! You picked the Kia Spectra, and with the 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, there really is no other choice. Starts under $12,000 after cash back. The award-winning Kia Spectra, the best value on the road.
Where does your mind go when you go to bed? Well, if you're like a lot of people, it doesn't go to sleep. It replays the day. It looks at what might happen tomorrow. And sometimes it gets tangled up in a list of to-dos and forgot-to-dos. Ask your doctor about Lunesta. It can give you and your restless mind the sleep you need. And non-narcotic Lunesta is approved for use night after night if necessary. Lunesta works quickly, so take it right before bed. Of course, do not use sleep medicines for extended periods without first talking to your doctor. Be sure you have at least 8 hours to devote to sleep before becoming active. Until you know how you'll react to Lunesta, you should not drive or operate machinery. Do not take Lunesta with alcohol. Most sleep medicines carry some risk of dependency. Side effects may include unpleasant taste, headache, drowsiness, and dizziness. For a great night's sleep, leave the rest to Lunesta. Ask your doctor.
My name is Leonard Ross. I was born in 1906.
The Dust Bowl, the Depression, and 2 world wars. That's just a few of the things Rosie Ross has seen in his lifetime. Through it all, he's had 2 great loves, music and his own independence.
If it's Friday, I'm playing at the Pinecone Inn.
Long-term care insurance from Genworth Financial can help you live on your own terms in your own home, receiving covered benefits where and when you choose. Genworth Financial, insurance for living, solutions for life.
What's it like to be our guest? It's a family getaway with all the comforts of home. It's a breakfast that's always free. But most of all, it's feeling like you're a guest in our home. Country Inns and Suites by Carlson. Be our guest.
AC 360. Every weeknight from 10 to midnight, the only place for national and international news. While others talk, CNN's Anderson Cooper takes you to the front lines for the story firsthand. AC 360, CNN Monday night, 10 Eastern.
We're back. Let's get some highlights. U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice heads to the Mideast. Rice will meet with Israeli Prime Minister Olmert, and that's in Jerusalem, and Palestinian President Abbas in the West Bank. Israeli airstrikes have hit Beirut, plus targets in East and South Lebanon. More Hezbollah rockets are slamming northern Israeli towns. Israel says it would accept an international peacekeeping force in Lebanon, preferably headed by NATO. And top Saudi envoys urge President Bush to press Israel for a ceasefire. And Syria calls for an immediate ceasefire and says it's willing to engage in direct talks with the United States. And a hospital spokesman says that comatose former Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon has taken a turn for the worse. So let's ask Christian Amanpour, if Sharon dies, what effect might that have, if any, on this situation?
Well, I don't think any. I mean, I think it will have some nostalgic effect for his supporters, and probably history will recall the irony that if he dies now in the middle of what's being called Lebanon II, it was after all Sharon who took Israel into its ill-fated experience in Lebanon in the early 80s, in 1982. But I think, you know, you'll have the requisite obits, the talk, the analysis about him, but I don't think at all it'll affect the ground campaign or the air war.
Anderson Cooper, what do you make of the kind of acceptance by Israel for an international peacekeeping force under NATO?
Well, you know, Larry, there's a lot of skepticism about the United Nations, certainly on the part of Israel. There is a UN force in southern Lebanon. They have been there for a number of years, but they're widely viewed as a failure, certainly by many in Israel. They have not stopped Hezbollah rockets from raining down on northern Israel. I think that's why the emphasis is perhaps on a NATO force. The U.S., of course, U.S. representative to the United Nations over the weekend telling Wolf Blitzer that it's very early days for the U.S. to be considering a NATO force. It's sort of a new idea that is one of the ideas that they are considering. But I think certainly on the part of Israel, I could see why they would support that more than a UN international force or a UN helmeted force, given their past experiences with the UN in southern Lebanon.
John Roberts, why Haifa? Why are they hitting Haifa so hard?
They're hitting Haifa so hard, Larry, because it's the third largest city here in Israel, home to some 300,000 people. It's 22 miles away from the border, right along the coast here, from areas further inland in Lebanon where some of those Hezbollah strongholds are. It's as much as 35 to 40 miles away, and they're hitting Haifa just to prove that they can do it. And in addition to Haifa, they're also saying we can go beyond that as well.
Okay, we lost John Roberts' signal. We should get it back. Anderson, have you seen those rockets up close at all?
I have not seen on this side we don't have rockets.
I know, but when you were in Haifa,
it's bombs. Yeah, I mean, I've been to the blast sites. Certainly, I haven't seen the actual shrapnel of the rockets, but I spent more than a day chasing various rockets, getting to the scene just moments after they had hit. You know, it is a you hate to say you get used to it because you never get used to it. That sound of that siren, you know, you can see it on TV, but when you actually hear it, when you're there live, it gets your heart racing. Suddenly you're immobilized. You know, you don't know exactly where to run to. You don't know if you are running into a rocket, as you could be doing that as easily as you could be running from one. If you're out on the street, you press yourself against the side of a building, and you just have to wait. And it is this very eerie wait as you listen to the sirens die down, and then you just wait for the sound of the impact. You pray it's not close to you, and of course you pray it's not close to anyone when they do hit. Often the rockets just fall into the sea, but when you hear that impact, sometimes the ground shakes, sometimes the windows shake. It is a terrible feeling, Larry.
Thanks, Anderson. Anderson Cooper at the top of the hour will host AC 360. John Roberts, we've made the connection again. What's it like? What is it like for you, those rockets?
Well, Larry, the air raid siren went off at 11 o'clock this morning, and as Anderson says, it is a bit of an eerie feeling, and the adrenaline does start pumping. Immediately what happens is the camera crew runs to the window and takes a wide shot to see where the missile is going to hit, and you're looking out the window with them, and then you suddenly say to yourself, should I be standing this close to the window? And then you decide, maybe I'll back into the room just a little bit. But, you know, as a journalist, it's difficult to run for cover because you have to cover the story, and the only way to cover the story is to open your eyes and look at where the story's going.
Christian Amanpour, do you ever get, you've covered so much war and violence, do you ever get used to it?
You know, you don't get used to it, and most particularly on this side, we've been hearing increasing questions raised to the military commanders because of the incredible civilian toll that's taking place, not just here, but also much more so in Lebanon. And so, you know, you don't get used to this kind of thing because every time it happens, there's something shocking that makes you and keeps you still alert and keeps you asking the questions and keeps you, you know, keeping the pressure on those who are doing the briefing. For instance, this minibus that was blown up in southern Lebanon today. I mean, for days we've been told by the Israeli forces that they've been trying to get the Lebanese out of those towns so they can, quote, act without civilian restrictions. Then this minibus tries to leave under these orders and gets hit from the air. And when we ask the military here, they say sorry, they're trying to do their best not to do that, but sometimes they say they misidentify the enemy. And these are things that is very hard to get used to.
Thank you all very much. Christiane Amanpour, Anderson Cooper, and John Roberts. We'll take a break, and when we come back, Zbigniew Brzezinski, the former National Security Advisor to President Carter, who helped broker the historic Camp David Accords, will give us his thoughts right after this.
Dude, we are so stoked.
Going hella morning, dude. Let's rock, dude.
10-4.
Hey, dude, I think that dude wants you.
Well, that's just the pilot.
Dude, you're not the pilot?
No. I've never done this before. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Cholesterol. It can come from fettuccine Alfredo, but also from your Grandpa Alfredo, from barbecue ribs, and from your Aunt Barbie. A healthy diet is important. When that's not enough, adding Vytorin can help. Cholesterol comes from two sources, food and family. Vytorin treats two sources. Only Vytorin helps block the absorption of cholesterol from food and reduces the cholesterol your body makes naturally based on family history. Vytorin was also proven in clinical studies to lower bad cholesterol more than Lipitor alone. Vytorin is not for everyone, including people with liver problems, women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. Unexplained muscle pain or weakness could be a sign of a rare but serious side effect. Vytorin may interact with other medicines or certain foods, increasing your risk of getting this serious side effect. Simple blood tests are needed to check for liver problems. So eat right, stay active. But if that's not enough, ask your doctor about adding Vytorin. Two sources of cholesterol. Treat them both with Vytorin.
Lincoln Mercury has some of America's hottest selling new models. And to celebrate, every 2006 Mercury has the hottest deals of the summer during the Lincoln Mercury Celebration Clearance. Like the award-winning Mercury Milan. Now lease Milan with 0 first month's payment, 0 down, and 0 cash due at $257 a month. And just announced, extended powertrain coverage for 5 years or 60,000 miles on all 2006 Mercury vehicles.
All new Monday night at 8, crisis in the Middle East, a sign of Armageddon? Some evangelical Christians think so, and they are very excited about the end of the world. Their eye-opening story, Monday night, 8 Eastern.
The Middle East erupts, and CNN is right there, on the ground with the story firsthand.
Israel says it'll take at least another several days to finally make its point.
Essential reporting from CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Great to see him again. Zbigniew Brzezinski, National Security Advisor to President Carter. His viewpoint piece, Time for Real Diplomacy, is on time.com. That's timemagazine.com. Zbig, how's the Secretary's trip going to work?
It depends almost entirely on how serious an undertaking she's going to pursue. If she's just going there to reassure the Israelis, but then essentially to wait until they clean up southern Lebanon, destroy the Hezbollah. It will take time, it will be bloody. The Israelis will not get their prisoners back. The Lebanese will suffer more. Eventually, we'll cut a deal with the Israelis about the Israelis evacuating then southern Lebanon, and some sort of a NATO force will be put in. But the fighting, the hostility will be costly, and the animus will be enormous. The other alternative is for her to be seriously engaged, and that's a much tougher undertaking.
Is the United States right to forego a ceasefire at this point?
Well, that's the whole point. That's the kind of choice you're making. I've outlined one choice. The other choice is to talk to all of the parties concerned to see if a ceasefire can be contrived, if that ceasefire is accompanied then by an arrangement by which the prisoners are exchanged, not simultaneously but sequentially, the Israelis released first, then the Hezbollah prisoners, then some Palestinian prisoners, and a peace process then is initiated more actively by the United States. That's the second choice, but that requires her to be in the region longer and to talk to everyone and to stick with it.
How long can or should Israel keep up this attack on Hezbollah?
Well, that precisely depends on what the strategy is. if the strategy is to destroy Hezbollah, then in addition just to bombing the Lebanese, the Israelis will have to go in and clean out the Hezbollah. But that will be costly. It will involve serious casualties. And I don't think the Hezbollah will surrender. It may fade away and be destroyed, but the prisoners won't come back, and many more enemies will have been made.
There's no doubt Syria and Iran are players. Should the United States be talking to them?
Absolutely. You always talk to your opponent unless you want to fight your opponent. We talked to the vile North Koreans, for example, in the 50s. It's not because we like them, but because it was better to talk to them than just to fight them forever.
So the obvious then is, why not talk to them?
Well, precisely. Now, we don't have to talk to them directly in every instance. There are sometimes ways of talking indirectly. But it seems to me that, for example, the Syrians are worth talking to. We forced the Syrians to leave Lebanon. I hate to say this, but I can't help wondering, if we hadn't forced the Syrians out, would the Hezbollah done what it did? Because then the Syrians would have been responsible for what Hezbollah did. And the Syrians would have kept the Hezbollah under their thumbs.
What role or hindrance, if any, does the war in Iraq play on this?
It's a serious hindrance because the war in Iraq has gravely damaged American political credibility and also American military prowess. We just are not quite as tall as we were before we went into Iraq.
How big can this get? It's big.
I don't think it's going to get too big at this stage. The problem is different. I think what we're witnessing is the transformation of the periodic wars between Israel and its neighbors, which Israel has been winning consistently, into a kind of protracted asymmetrical warfare, which nibbles away, which involves continuous pain, then periods of quiescence, then renewed pain, and the number of enemies grows and grows and grows. And this is why I am so convinced that it is absolutely in the interest of the United States in the Middle East and in the interest of Israel for the United States to be much more seriously engaged in pushing for a comprehensive peace accommodation.
Do you think Hezbollah knew how Israel would react to the taking of the soldiers?
Probably they anticipated some reaction. They didn't anticipate it would be such a strong reaction. But to the extent that this strong reaction has been directed rather indiscriminately at the Lebanese, more and more Lebanese are now going to be sympathetic to Hezbollah and hostile to Israel.
So why do you think Israel did that?
Probably because it didn't know what to do initially. It was certainly outraged. I suspect that the government is somewhat weak and wants to demonstrate that it is tough. Usually weak governments tend to overreact. And I don't think the Israelis right now have any strategy other than hitting. And hitting is not in itself a strategy, it's a tactic.
How does this end?
It will percolate, and it will either end by the Israelis being forced to go into southern Lebanon, cleaning out the Hezbollah, but not resolving anything thereby, or we eventually reluctantly getting engaged in a more serious negotiating effort and trying to contrive something that involves the Syrians, then through the Syrians, the Hezbollah, but also doing something about Gaza and that problem, because that keeps exploding and festering.
You like the idea of a special envoy?
No, a special envoy is not very effective. A special envoy is a 1 or 2 day effect, but then after that, the parties concerned want to talk to the top people here. It has to be the Secretary of State, and this is why I have said publicly, and I'm sure that Condi doesn't like me for this, that she ought to do what Kissinger did. Stay there and work at it. If necessary, go to Damascus, go to Cairo, talk to the Jordanians, use the Syrians as intermediaries to talk to the Hezbollah, stick with it and deliver.
Thank you, Zbig. We'll be calling on you again. It's great to see you.
It's good to see you.
Zbigniew Brzezinski, the former national security advisor to President Carter, who helped broker the Camp David Accords. His viewpoint piece, Time for Real Diplomacy. You can get it on time.com. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
When Uncle Ernie got heartburn, I handed him Pepcid Complete. Only Pepcid Complete starts to neutralize acid on contact and keeps heartburn from coming back all day or all night. So Uncle Ernie was in Mushu heaven. Pepcid Complete. Just one and heartburn's done.
What if your student went on to become a terrorist leader in the footsteps of Bin Laden? Wednesday, August 23rd, only on CNN.
At the door, there's a man who will greet you.
The food is all that you've been dreaming of. The games are hot and they're right for the winning.
I think that I'm in love.
I know a place where you'll find some friends and win some dough. I know a place where we can go.
Can you tell the difference between these pet medications? They're exactly the same, but these medications cost a lot less. And they're delivered right to my door. That's the 1-800-PET-MEDS difference. Great savings, fast service, free shipping. Order now.
This summer, get the sunblock that also blocks the bite. New Bullfrog Mosquito Coast Sunblock and Repellent. Up to 8-hour protection against harmful rays and pesky bites without the odor. New Bullfrog Mosquito Coast. Block the burn and the bite.
VHIX.com helps people find the car they want at a dealer near them. How do we improve that user experience?
Include a vanity mirror so people can get an idea of how they look in their new car. Give them a free VHIX comb, too.
And your idea?
VHIX TV. Not just web pages, cool video test drives powered by Wheels TV.
Cool video test drives, now at VHIX.com. Just click Autos on Comcast.net.
Why experience the difference at DickHanna.com? The reason is simple. We have the car you want at the price you want to pay. Family owned since 1949, our goal is to simply sell for less. We offer the largest selection of new and pre-owned vehicles online at DickHanna.com. With thousands of vehicles available, we have the new or pre-owned vehicle you're searching for at DickHanna.com. Come see us today or visit us online 24/7. Click, buy, and save at DickHanna.com.
The latest on the Mideast conflict the world is watching. Larry King, CNN 9 Eastern.
We now welcome Brigadier General James Spider Marks, United States Army retired CNN military analyst, former Army intelligence officer. He's in Washington. General, the Israelis are determined to destroy the Katyusha rockets that have rained down on them. How do they do that, and how complicated a job is it?
Larry, it's a very complicated task, but it can be done. And what demonstrates the difficulty is that Hezbollah fired 60-plus rockets into Israel today. This demonstrates the nature of finding and destroying these Katyusha rockets and their launchers. Larry, let me walk you through a scenario that we've set up for you here on the map. In southern Lebanon, for example, we have a Katyusha rocket, which is located here. Now, it's important to point out that at any given time over Lebanese airspace, you have unmanned aerial vehicles which have the ability to see the activity on the ground both day and night and broadcast TV quality video. They also have attack aircraft in prepared positions and artillery positions represented here, ready to fire at a moment's notice. In this example, let's say the Katyusha rocket fires before they can strike the launcher. The Katyusha rocket fires, the unmanned aerial vehicle can pick up that launch immediately and then, Larry, instantaneously pass firing data both to the aircraft and the artillery. In this particular scenario, the aircraft is in a better position to attack the Katyusha launcher. Understand the rocket's already underway, but the aircraft goes after the launcher as it tries to scoot and hide. If Israel can continue to strike launchers, you deny the capability of the rockets.
John Roberts in Haifa, how are the ordinary citizens of Israel coping with these rocket attacks?
Surprisingly, Larry, they're coping very well. Every day when the rockets come in and a home gets hit or a building gets hit or somebody gets hurt or somebody gets killed, obviously there's a lot of concern in the immediate area, but they sort of pick themselves up and they go on. This fellow that I met today, Zohar Borenstein, whose home was literally destroyed right before his very eyes, he was pretty pragmatic about the whole thing, saying, well, I'll have to get a new house and I'll have to build a new one, but for the meantime I can move in with my family. So while these are weapons of terror, that are raining down on Israelis every day because they're not, they don't hit any strategic targets. They're not good tactical weapons. It really is amazing the resilience with which the Israelis deal with these rocket attacks day in and day out.
Thanks, John. Israel's defense minister says this is not a full-scale invasion. How likely, in your opinion, is a full-scale invasion?
Larry, there needs to be an increased number of soldiers, foot soldiers on the ground in some type of a buffer zone north of Israel in southern Lebanon in order to achieve the objectives that Israel has stated they want to achieve. Seems very likely that they're going to have to put more forces across the border.
Is Hezbollah a tough opponent?
Larry, it's an extremely tough opponent. They have intimacy with the terrain. They live in that terrain. They fight in that terrain. They've had years to improve their fighting positions. They will try to dominate a fight. They are the defender, and the advantage always goes to the defender.
But Israel has had a lot of experience in that territory too, haven't they?
They really have, Larry. They were there for 18 years. They departed 6 years ago. But what's key is in that intervening 6-year period, Hezbollah has had plenty of time to establish barricades and obstacles and to make that fight on that ground that much tougher.
Thank you very much, General. Brigadier General James Spider Marks, CNN military analyst, and John Roberts in Haifa. Coming up, you won't want to miss this, an incredible story of escape from the war zone with celebrity chief Tony Bourdain. He was shooting his TV show in Beirut, living the high life, fine dining, lounging by the pool, when this crisis broke out and he had to evacuate like everyone else. We'll hear his story right after this.
Test drive the DTS at the Cadillac Summer Event, going on now.
Ellen McCarthy can't afford her medication, so Merck sends it directly to her home, free. Call 1-800-50-MERC or visit merckhelps.com for a list of Merck medicines and eligibility requirements. Merck, where patients come first.
We get you to a V. Viactiv gets that staying healthy and strong is your goal, so we give you 2 delicious ways to get there. Viactiv multivitamin chews and also calcium chews for one strong you.
Looking for a hotel bed that's more than just fluff? Try the Sleep Number bed exclusively at Radisson with adjustable firmness for comfort that's perfect for you. Radisson Hotels and Resorts. Stay your own way.
Whatever your business, being a high performer means seeing the possibilities when others may be seeing nothing at all. Go on, be a tiger. Accenture, consulting, technology, outsourcing. Accenture, high performance delivered.
Once I started using the Orajel tooth desensitizer, it was like, wow, pain-free for the rest of the month. And it's just absolutely fantastic.
Orajel. Swab it on. Sensitivity gone.
Thank you so much, Orajel.
Diamonds. The Jewelry Exchange has thousands at the guaranteed lowest price. Half-carat ISI diamonds are $7.99, 3/4 carat $15.99, and 1 carat just $2,900. Buy direct. The Jewelry Exchange with superstores nationwide or online at jewelryexchange.com.
Closed captioning hours sponsored in part by Hitachi Performa LCD projector.
With Hitachi's networkable 3 LCD projectors, you can run a presentation from here and present it here, here, and here. Only with Hitachi.
Now joining us from New York is Tony Bourdain. He's the host of Anthony Bourdain, No Reservations on the Travel Channel. He's the chef and best-selling author. You were in Beirut shooting an episode of your show. What happened?
Well, I spent 2 really magical days meeting Beirutis, all of whom were bursting with pride for a sort of new, resurgent, relatively tolerant, westernized Beirut. As it happened, we were standing outside of the Hariri Memorial. I was with a Sunni, a Shiite, and a Christian at the time when we started to hear gunfire and see cars filled with Hezbollah supporters celebrating the capture, kidnapping of the Israeli soldiers. The look on the three faces of my companions was one of shame, embarrassment, dismay, and a sort of resignation as they all seemed to immediately get what inevitably was going to happen next.
That's a great city, isn't it, Tony?
It was a paradise. I'm heartbroken that I doubt we'll ever get to show the world what a hopeful place it was, how proud, how tolerant, kind of a dream version of what we would like the Middle East to be someday, were we to get our way. Sophisticated, largely English-speaking, friendly, food-centric. It was, for me, 2 days of paradise followed by the heartbreak of watching all of these nice people, many of whom were Lebanese Americans who'd returned to their homeland, or Lebanese who left during the Civil War, come back to try to make a better Beirut, a better Lebanon, thinking that this was a good time to do it. To watch all those hopes dismantled piece by piece before my eyes, it was a horrible thing to see.
How'd you get out, Tony?
I left after quite a bit of waiting around and waking up to bombing and going to sleep to bombing every day for over a week on the USS Nashville. And I have to say, the Marines and sailors of that ship who were called on to help with the evacuation at the last minute were incredibly efficient. One doesn't think of the word kind and tender and sensitive when you think of the Marine Corps, but they were really incredible to the people being evacuated.
Did your crew continue to shoot?
We shot what we could, but I think there was a real sense right away that, we make a travel and food show, exploring cultures through travel and food. We shot a lot of footage that I don't think we ever want to use. What we went through in Beirut is nothing compared to what Beirutis themselves had to go through. I suppose I don't know. I don't know that we can use what we shot. Certainly, some of the things I guess I'd like to show people what Beirut was like before and perhaps could be again in the future. Certainly, I'm proud of what we filmed of the Marines and sailors. But a lot of time spent of us just sitting around worrying about, when are we getting out of here? I don't know whether I'd feel good about airing that.
Hold on one second. I want to check with our own Tony. Are you there?
Yeah.
Mr. Robertson, are you there?
I am indeed, Larry.
What can you tell us, Nick, about people getting out? I mean, Tony got out. He's back in New York. What else is happening there?
Well, people are still getting out. The American embassy here is really putting out a last pitch call to anyone that wants to leave the country. About 11,500 or so Americans have left, but it's the last call going out now. Certainly people here are flooding up from the south of the country. Those that can get out are still trying to get out. We know about 150,000 are left the country. But a lot of people are trying to make the best of it here in Beirut. They've gotten out of the dangerous areas and they're trying to get on with their lives. I think what we've seen transform over the last week or so since the bombing began. We do see more people out on the streets. In some neighborhoods, we do see more stores open. A lot of the city is pretty much closed for business, but you can go up in the mountains and you can sit in a cafe and have a coffee and have an ice cream and look down at the shelling on Beirut. It's not a good situation, but in some places, life is just sort of ticking over as best people can make it happen, Larry.
Thanks, Nick. Nick Robertson. You've described, Tony Bourdain, the situation on the beach as like going to a Metallica concert gone horribly wrong. What do you mean?
Well, I have to say that the embassy side of the operation was uninspiring. It was, one would expect better of any concert promoter or nightclub operator, even on short notice. It was really pandemonium out there. It didn't seem that anyone was in charge. Bad crowd control, people standing for hours and hours in the sun. The second that we passed into Marine and Navy control, everything changed. I mean, it suddenly became efficient, caring, fast-moving, and organized. So the two operations, I have to say,
night and day.
Night and day.
Would you go back, Tony?
I would love to go back. I will. It is great unfinished business with me that I have yet to be able to show the world what was possible in Beirut. How good the food, how nice the people I met, how hopeful a situation I saw for only 2 brief days.
And they are a wonderful people, are they not?